Hello YouTube, my name is Sean Connors and welcome back to the Outsiders channel. In today's video we're going to be talking all about convention play and refereeing. I've been involved over the last few years at the Games Expo here in the UK, which is just in the area of Birmingham. And in that time I've got very heavily involved in the Cthulhu Masters, which effectively is sort of a splinter off the normal role-playing, still role-playing, around the Call of Cthulhu game. But it's an opportunity for players to get involved in an RPG tournament, which may sound odd and a little counterintuitive, but I will go on a little bit in this video to explain a little bit about it. But what convention play does for you as a GM, because I think they're absolutely invaluable. If you've ever thought about getting involved in a convention, I hugely suggest that you do, because it's going to push you as a GM to really think outside the box. You're going to have to develop some skills that you may not have been used to using or haven't used before. Some great examples of this is when you go to run a game for the first time at convention, you're going to find a few unusual anomalies. The first one is that you're going to be in a room probably with many more games, maybe 12, 15, 20 games going on. So you're going to have quite a powerful voice, not necessarily shouting, but it's got to project. That's very important actually in role-playing anyway, but in conventions it's even more so. And equally, as other people observe the games in the room, do they all seem similar? Or does one game really stand out? And the question is why? And you want that game to be yours. I often think that in convention play, one of the keys to making a successful game, to have players go away from your table and go and seek out whoever is running that convention, in terms of the actual overall convention for the role-playing side, or the marshals, whoever's involved generally organising. You want them to go and seek them out and say, I've just been involved in this absolutely phenomenal game, and here's the reasons why. And you want that game to be yours. And to do that often means you have to take very much a sense of theatre approach to convention play, because it's a one-off. You can be very different than you normally are as a GM. You can be very much create a sense of theatre to your performance, which I love anyway personally. And ultimately, what you're looking to do is to entertain those periods in a set block of time, and that is going to be their entire experience. That's important to remember that. It is likely to be their entire experience of you is going to be that window, often 3 to 4 hour window block in most conventions. So you've got to really think about that as a piece and understand some of the tools that are going to be important for you to achieve a successful game. I'm a great believer that it doesn't have to run the full length of time, but whatever time length it runs, the players must come away from it massively entertained, because they are paying, and that's another different aspect than you're probably used to as a GM, that you're going to have people pay. And they're going to expect a really good standard from you, even irrespective of what you're doing. Now, if you're doing like we are, the Cthulhu Masters, I can promise you the expectation level jump even more, because people are involved in a tournament. Now, RPG tournaments are a little odd for those that are not used to it, but it's really about finding what we've discovered here in the UK is they do bring out the best in players, because everybody knows that on whatever table they're on, their peers are the other players around them. The GM will have an input, but primarily it's the other players. And what people are looking for is the player that entertained the most, the player that was able to role play the best, whatever it might be that they do that really gets them noticed for the right reasons. And if they do well, then they get moved on to the next table and the next table and so on until they reach the final. And then we ultimately find out, if you like, the person that stood out in that time period who was the best. And that's a nice thing, actually, because it's over a period of time, what it's really promoted is we're getting people coming to the tables who are really putting themselves into the characters, really giving everything they've got to the game. And the same with the GMs, are having to elevate their efforts continually skyward to create the best game that they can create. So it's a mutually satisfying circle. Now that it's been running for a few years, I think because of the approach that we've taken, I think it's really helped. And I think what it's doing, I hope it's doing, is raising the bar constantly for other GMs and players coming in, and we're getting a very, very good thing from this. So I recommend to you convention GMing. It's very different than what you're used to. You have to be good at pacing. You have to be good at cutting things out instantly. You have to be able to roll with the decisions the players make, and sometimes allow them the opportunity to push the story in a direction you haven't thought about before and be able to cope with that. And equally, you want them to come away from that table being supremely impressed with you as a GM, so that they want to come and find you again the next year and the year after in any games that you're running. And equally, you want the people that are running that convention to come and seek you out and say, hang on, you're doing some great work here. Because it's one of the very few times where you as a GM will seriously get some really decent feedback, which is another very important aspect of convention play. Because these players don't know you. They're going to be honest with you if you ask for that feedback. They're going to tell you brutally straight whether it was good or it didn't work. And that is a very powerful tool as a GM. And it's well worth doing. So if you've ever thought about, should I have a go at it? Yeah, it is scary, but I've always said in GMing, one of the most important things is you put yourself up to the edge and you throw yourself in. Because if you don't throw yourself in, you're never going to know. And don't give up at the first hurdle. Yeah, it's very important, I think, with conventions to take a sort of a softly approach. You know, I did. Your first year you run one game to get a feel for it. The next year you up that to 3, and now I'm at 5 games a year. I could do more, but 5 is about the limit because I realised my voice over 20 hours, because that's what you're looking at roughly, of play, is affected because of the amount of time that you're actually refereeing. It definitely affected in a crowded room. So I have to balance, and it's something I'm used to, about thinking about my own well-being in that environment, how much I can do, what I can do, and how I'm going to approach it. So I take a softly approach if you've never done it before. Get your feet wet, but don't give up because the first game wasn't the best you've ever run. It's not important. The most important thing is to gain the experience and gain some new tools that you might not have used before. There are so many wonderful reasons why convention play will develop you as a GM. And if you can get yourself into something a little different like this, you know, what we're doing, this Cthulhu Masters, or other things where the role playing is pushed again, I strongly recommend it. I really do, and I think it's a fantastic way to see where you are as a GM. So if you've any doubts about, you know, you think you're good, well, go and do a convention, because it's really going to see whether your skills are. If you're used to running the same group, that may have become quite effortless because they know you, you know them, it's all fun, it's friendly, it's great. That's great. Try it with different groups. Find out really where your strengths and weaknesses are. And this is one of the greatest ways of pushing the envelope as a GM. And you get tremendous feedback and shortcuts to developing your skills through convention play. So I highly recommend it. Anyway, I hope to see some of you at the Games Expo this year. You can come and have a look at some fantastic GMs that are going to be running games this year, particularly in the Cthulhu Masters, and equally any of the games that are being offered at any of these conventions are so worthwhile. I've met so many great other GMs through it that have massively influenced me. Another great aspect, I nearly forgot about it here at the end of the video, another great aspect of conventions, you'll see other GMs that stand out to you. You all know why they stand out, and we can pick each other's brains after the games have finished, way into the early hours of the morning. Fantastic way of shortcutting and learning about each other, developing skills from each other. It's a phenomenal thing, and I highly recommend it. So I hope to see a few of you at the other Games Expos throughout the UK, and I hope a few of you will take the plunge in whatever country you're in to have a go at it and see what you can do and how you can push the envelope forward. And any stories you have, please share them with us all, because it would be fantastic to hear more about your convention stuff. I'll come back to this in subsequent videos and talk to you more about how it will help and develop your gaming. Anyway, take care of yourselves. I've been Sean Connors, hard-hitting and in your face. This has been the Outsiders 68 channel. Happy gaming to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.